Prologue. At the end of the battle, there were 2 warriors left on the field. The Dark One, riding a black horse and wielding a broadsword, and the Mongol on his white stallion. Both men had been wounded many times during the melee, but still sat upright in their saddles, one at either end of the valley. Between them lay hundreds of bodies, the dead on either side. The Dark One, a Kurgan, called to the Mongol,
"There can be only one!"
But whether the knight from the far Orient heard and understood was not evident from his posture or any gesture. He merely tested his curved blade on the wind. A few strokes to take the stiffness out of his arm muscles. The sword flashed incomprehensible heliographic messages to the hills on either side. The Kurgan smiled to himself. This Mongol would be his 3rd immortal. He recalled the words of his old mentor, the Arab. "Remember, when you meet someone like yourself, you must take his head there and then. Otherwise, your opponent will have more time, over the centuries, to learn further fighting skills. The next time you meet him, you may regret not beheading him the first time. And you will meet again, be sure of that. If not in the near future, most certainly at the final gathering. Time is a weapon too. Never let them have more time to increase in strength and skill." The Mongol began riding down the length of the valley, careless of the bodies beneath the hooves of his grey. The Kurgan took his sword in both hands. He had watched the Mongol fight during the battle, had observed his technique, which was to make his horse rear just before meeting his opponent, so that the steed's head protected the knight's body. The Kurgan gathered his strength together, psychologically preparing himself for a single, tremendous blow. He would need the speed of the charger to help him, and the timing would need to be exactly right. A blow of supernatural strength was called for, and while the Kurgan believed himself capable of such a stroke, he knew it would take all his concentration, his spiritual and physical reserves. He began riding towards the Mongol, his mount gathering in speed, until the mane and tail were horizontal, flowing like black whips in the wind. The hooves thundered on the blood-soaked earth of the Russian steppes. Sweat and foam flew from the mouth of the gelding, splattering on the Kurgan's hammered bronze helmet with its beast skull crest. The heavily furred, narrow-eyed Mongol closed rapidly. The horse's lungs were creaking like worn leather, and sprigs of steam spurted from their nostrils. Just before the clash, the Mongol reined his mount, as expected, and the horse went up on its hind legs, its head and shoulders protecting the Mongol's body. The Kurgan let out a loud battle cry, swung back in his saddle, and brought the edge of his broadsword across the grey's throat with tremendous force. The heavy blade sliced through flesh and bone, severing the horse's head. The Kurgan's horse continued to surge forward. The broadsword followed through, to impact with the Mongol's neck, divorcing head from body. A double decapitation in one stroke. The 2 heads, human and animal, hit the ground almost simultaneously, followed by a tangle of limbs. The victorious Kurgan reined his own mount and let out a scream of joy as lightning forked down, out of the clear sky and into his body. For several minutes, the static electricity sought him out, arced into his giant frame. When the quickening was over, the Dark Warrior turned northwards.
Now for the boy, Connor MacLeod,
he said.